Have you ever watched someone's heart break in public? The moment Serena Brooks realized she'd been stood up, her hands trembled so badly she spilled her cocoa. But what she didn't know was that fate was about to deliver the most unexpected messengers of love. The cafe falls silent as Serena's cup tips over. She dabs at the spill with a napkin, trying to hide her humiliation. The soaked napkin reveals a hastily scribbled note underneath, "I'll be there, RC." A promise broken like so many before. Golden sunset light streams through Maple Bloom Cafe's windows, illuminating dust particles dancing around Serena. Her shoulders curve inward as she glances at her watch. 45 p.m. She's been forgotten. Mrs. June, the silver-haired cafe owner with eyes that have witnessed decades of heartbreak and healing, moves between tables with quiet grace. When she reaches Serena, her weathered hand rests on the young woman's shoulder. "Sometimes, dear," she says in a voice only Serena can hear, "the latest arrival is the one who needs love the most. And sometimes, love comes wearing the most surprising disguises." Serena attempts a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Mrs. June has become the closest thing to a mother she has since beginning work at the cafe 3 years ago. The older woman's eyes hold no pity, only a curious blend of compassion and anticipation. It's fine," Serena whispers, though every line of her body contradicts this claim. "This is what happens when shy girls like me try to be brave." As she reaches for her purse, her sleeve rides up, revealing a small tattoo on her wrist, broken chains transforming into butterflies. It's a private reminder etched the day after her wedding that wasn't when she stood alone in a white dress holding a note that read, "I can't do this. You're not enough." Mrs. June says nothing about the tattoo, simply squeezing Serena's shoulder before moving away. At the kitchen doorway, she pauses watching as Serena pulls out a leather-bound sketchbook. The pages reveal designs that blur the line between pastry and architecture. Gingerbread houses with flying buttresses and precise calculations in the margins, cookie bridges with tension equations, heart-shaped tarts with golden ratios mapped out. "You know," Mrs. June calls softly, "even the most inspirational cathedrals began as simple sketches. Your hands were meant to build more than just pastries." Serena snaps the book shut, color rushing to her cheeks. No one was supposed to know about her abandoned dreams of becoming an architect, a heartwarming ambition crushed by someone who convinced her that her vision wasn't worth pursuing. The bell above the door jingles with unexpected force. 2 identical little girls burst in pink jackets, askew cheeks flushed. Their matching auburn braids bounce as they scan the cafe with an intensity unusual for children who couldn't be older than 6. "Are you Miss Serena?" the one with a unicorn beret asks, breathing hard. Serena freezes, purse half closed. "Yes." The cafe falls silent. Every customer stops mid-movement, sensing they've become audience to something extraordinary. The second twin steps forward, hands clasped as if in prayer. Her voice, though childlike, carries a gravity that fills the room. "We're Lily and Nora Cole. Our daddy is Richard Cole." She takes a deep breath before delivering her bombshell, "He's your date." Serena blinks. "Your daddy." The first twin nods, then leans close. What she whispers next sends a ripple through the cafe. "He told us not to tell anyone, but Daddy doesn't know we're here." The second twin's eyes startlingly wise for her age lock with Serena's. "He's stuck fixing a building that's falling apart. But we didn't want you to think he forgot." She reaches for Serena's hand. "He would never forget someone like you on purpose." Mrs. June's soft chuckle breaks the silence. Her eyes gleam with something that looks suspiciously like the beginning of tears, or perhaps magic. "Well," Mrs. June says, "it seems life has decided you deserve a better story than being stood up, Serena." She glances at the twins with delight. Sometimes the universe sends us exactly what we need, even if it comes in packages small enough to need booster seats. What would you do if two little matchmakers showed up claiming to be sent by destiny? And who is Richard Cole, a man whose daughters would risk his anger to make sure a stranger didn't feel forgotten? Our daddy is a very important architect, Lily explains, climbing onto the chair opposite Serena. Her sister Nora quickly follows both girls, now eye level with the bewildered baker. He builds things that don't fall down, Nora adds. Except today. Today something is falling down and he has to fix it. Serena's shock gives way to a reluctant smile. There's something disarming about these twins with their matter-of-fact explanations. "How did you know where to find me?" she asks, curiosity overcoming her reserve. The girls exchange a conspiratorial look that suggests they've perfected the art of gentle mischief. "We saw your picture on Daddy's phone," Lily admits, and Mrs. Monroe, his assistant Nora, clarifies importantly. "Said Daddy was supposed to meet a lady named Serena at Maple Bloom Cafe at 6 o'clock. But he forgot." Lily continues, her face suddenly serious. "Not because he wanted to, but because he forgets everything except work since Mommy went to heaven." The words land like stones in a still pond. Serena feels her throat tighten. Mrs. June, overhearing, moves closer, setting down fresh cups of hot chocolate for the twins. "Your mommy went to heaven?" Serena asks softly. Nora nods, hands wrapping around the warm mug. 2 years ago, she was driving home from work and a big truck couldn't stop in the rain." Lily stares into her cocoa. "Daddy was on the phone with her when it happened. Now he doesn't like phones very much." The cafe grows quieter, as if the universe itself pauses to acknowledge what these children have shared. Serena feels something in her chest shift, a small crack in the wall she's built around her heart. Mrs. June places fresh cocoa in front of Serena, her eyes saying volumes. "Listen to them. They came to you for a reason." "We have her picture," Nora says, reaching into a pink backpack. She pulls out a worn photograph, handling it with reverence. In the photo, a beautiful woman with the twins' auburn hair smiles widely arms around the girls, who look about 4. Behind them stands a man tall with kind eyes that crinkle at the corners, one arm around his family. He's handsome, with shoulders built to carry responsibilities. "That's our daddy," Lily says. "Richard Cole. He builds things for everyone else, but he doesn't know how to fix what's broken for us." A memory flashes in Serena's mind herself, standing alone in a church white dress, suddenly feeling like a straitjacket reading the note her fiancé left. She blinks the image away, but not before Lily's perceptive eyes catch the shadow crossing her face. "Miss Serena," Nora says, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow holds the wisdom of someone much older. "You look like someone who knows how to fix broken things." The words strike Serena with unexpected force. "What makes you say that?" she asks, voice barely audible. Lily points to Serena's sketchbook. "You draw things that hold other things together. Bridges and houses and hearts. And you have sad eyes, too." Nora adds, "Like Daddy's. But you still make pretty things." Would you believe that sometimes the most perceptive eyes are the ones that haven't learned to look away from pain, that a heartwarming connection could begin with such honesty? "We have a plan," Lily announces suddenly, her face lighting up with determination. "A very good plan," Nora confirms with a solemn nod. "Daddy hasn't had dinner yet, and when he doesn't eat, he gets grumpy." "Very grumpy," Lily agrees, nodding seriously. Serena glances at the clock, 7:15 p.m. "So, your plan is for me to bring him dinner?" The twins beam in unison. "Yes, but I can't just show up at his workplace." Serena protests, her shyness flaring. That would be perfect, Lily interrupts. He's at the Riverside Library project. It has bad foundations. Like Daddy's heart. Nora whispers more to herself than the others. Mrs. June, who has been listening while pretending not to, steps forward. The girls are right, Serena. No one should work through dinner. We have plenty of food that would otherwise go to waste. Serena hesitates, torn between retreating to safety and a strange tugging in her chest, a feeling she hasn't experienced in years. Something about these girls and their mission sparks a courage she thought had died. I don't know. She begins, but is interrupted by Nora pulling something else from her backpack, a small framed photo of just their mother, her smile radiant. Mommy always said we should help people who forget to take care of themselves, the little girl says, voice soft but sure. And Daddy forgets all the time now. The simple wisdom silences any further objections. Mrs. June packs a large basket with sandwiches, soup, and a box of her famous heart cookies, rich chocolate cookies, with centers of raspberry filling that seem to bleed when bitten into. If you bring warmth, the older woman says with knowing eyes, you might just heal more than you think. 20 minutes later, Serena finds herself driving toward the Riverside construction site, two excited twins in the back seat. This is madness, she thinks. She's driving two children she just met to deliver dinner to a man she's never met, a man who technically stood her up. As the twins chatter in the back, Serena catches a glimpse of herself in the rearview mirror. There's a light in her eyes that has been absent for too long. Maybe second chances don't always knock on doors. Sometimes they're 6 years old and wear pink jackets. What would happen if just once a shy girl chose courage over caution? What if she dared to believe that not all foundations were destined to crack? Turn here, Lily calls, pointing toward the river. You can see the lights. Bright construction lights illuminate the skeleton of a grand library, glass and steel and sweeping lines that complement the riverside. Even unfinished, it takes Serena's breath away. The architectural student in her stirs to life. Did your daddy design that? She asks, unable to hide her awe. Nora nods proudly. He says libraries are magic because they hold all the stories people need to heal. Serena parks, suddenly nervous. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. Too late, Lily announces, already unbuckling. We're here now. As they approach, Serena sees a tall figure standing near the foundation, gesturing to workers. Even from a distance, she recognizes him from the photo, Richard Cole, though his shoulders seem more tense, his stance more rigid. A woman in a sleek business suit stands beside him, tablet in hand, leaning slightly into Richard's space. She's striking, tall, confident, with polished appearance that makes Serena acutely aware of her simple jeans and sweater. That's Veronica, Nora whispers. She wants to be our new mommy. But we don't want her, Lily adds. She smiles with her mouth, but not her eyes. Before Serena can process this, the twins break away, running toward their father. Daddy, Daddy! Richard turns, his expression transforming from concentration to shock as he spots his daughters running toward him. Then, as his gaze lifts to land on Serena, standing uncertainly with a food basket, shock gives way to confusion. Lily, Nora, what on earth are you doing here? He kneels as the twins crash into his arms, their excited voices overlapping. We brought your date because you forgot, and she made dinner so you wouldn't be grumpy. Richard's gaze lifts to meet Serena's, and she feels heat rise to her cheeks. I'm so sorry, she calls. They came to the cafe and explained you were working late and Mrs. June thought you might need dinner. Veronica steps forward, eyebrows arched in calculated disdain. You let your children roam around with strangers now, Richard, she asks, her voice carrying a sharp edge. The twins frown. She's not a stranger, Lily protests. She's Daddy's date that he forgot about. And she makes the best cookies in Portland, Nora adds. Serena feels everyone staring. She sets the basket down. This was a mistake. I'll just go. No. Richard's voice stops her. Something in his tone, a warmth that seems to surprise even him, makes her pause. Please stay. You brought dinner. I owe you that much. Sometimes the most terrifying moments are doorways to everything we've secretly wished for. The question is, do we have the courage to step through? Richard runs a hand through his hair. I completely forgot about our coffee meeting. Sandra from the community center set it up right about catering for the opening. Understanding dawns on Serena's face. This wasn't a date, it was a business meeting. The twins had misunderstood. Girls, Richard says firmly but gently, you can't just leave the house without telling Mrs. Wilson, and you certainly can't go around telling people I'm their date. But Daddy, Lily begins, her lower lip trembling. We heard you tell Mrs. Monroe that Serena was pretty. Nora finishes, her small chin lifting defiantly. Richard's cheeks color slightly, and Serena sees a crack in his composed exterior. Veronica's expression, meanwhile, has cooled several degrees. I think I'll let you handle your family matters, she says crisply. We can discuss the foundation issues tomorrow. With a pointed glance at Serena, she adds, some problems require professional solutions after all. As Veronica clicks away on expensive heels, Richard sighs, then offers Serena an apologetic smile. I am genuinely sorry about all this, he says. For missing our meeting and for my daughter's matchmaking scheme. It's okay. Serena replies, surprised to find she actually means it. They were worried about you. Richard glances at his watch, then at the food basket. A small war seems to be playing out behind his eyes, duty versus basic human needs, work versus an unexpected connection. Would you mind if we had that meeting now, just a bit delayed? He gestures to a makeshift table covered with architectural drawings. I could use a break, and the girls are already here. Mrs. Wilson must be frantic, though. I texted her, Lily says proudly, pulling out a small phone. I said we were with Daddy. Richard raises an eyebrow. Not the whole truth, but we'll discuss that later. He turns back to Serena. So, dinner meeting. Serena nods. Dinner meeting. They sit atop architectural plans, the basket open between them, the twins perched on upturned buckets nearby. The construction lights cast everything in a harsh, but somehow magical glow. These are incredible, Richard says after biting into one of the heart cookies. Something in his expression makes Serena think he hasn't truly tasted anything in a long time. Thank you, she says quietly. Baking helps me think. What do you think about, he asks. Structures, she admits. Balance. What holds things together when forces try to pull them apart? Richard studies her with new eyes. That sounds more like architecture than baking. I studied it for 2 years, she says, then immediately wishes she hadn't. Why did you stop? The question hangs between them. The twins grow quiet, watching. Someone convinced me I wasn't good enough, Serena finally says. And I believed him. Richard is silent for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, he spreads out one of the drawings. What do you think of this, the community cafe section of the library? Something's not working, but I can't see it. Serena hesitates, then leans forward. Her finger traces a line on the blueprint. The flow is interrupted here. People want to move naturally from books to food, but this wall creates a psychological barrier. Richard stares at her, then back at the drawing. You're right. I completely missed that. He shakes his head, a smile forming. You have a hidden talent for design. She draws buildings made of cookies, Nora pipes up. We saw them in her book. Richard's eyes meet Serena's again, something new kindling in them. Maybe we could collaborate on the cafe design. The offer hangs in the air, not just a professional opportunity, but something more. A bridge between two people who have stopped building new things in their lives. Richard leans closer. My wife, before the accident, used to say the foundation of love is trust. Don't ever stop building. His voice catches. But I did stop. After she died, I just maintained what was already there, for the girls. Then you and I, Serena replies, her voice trembling, both stopped building. Their eyes meet in understanding, and to their surprise, they laugh, a soft, bittersweet sound that carries relief. They are two people standing amid the rubble of their past lives, recognizing themselves in each other. From a few yards away, Veronica watches her face hardening as she hears Richard call Serena the calm in the chaos of this project. She clutches her tablet tighter, an idea forming. When hearts begin to thaw, they become vulnerable again. In that vulnerability lies both great risk and the only chance for healing. The next morning, Serena stands in Mrs. June's office, the older woman's face grave as she shows her tablet. I'm so sorry, dear. Someone posted this on the community forum last night. There on the screen is a photo of Serena and Richard at the construction site, heads bent together over blueprints. The caption reads, CEO Richard Cole dating bakery girl. Unprofessional move, sources question judgment on Riverside Library project. Serena's stomach drops. This isn't... We weren't... Mrs. June squeezes her shoulder. I know. But Walter Bloomfield saw it this morning. Walter Bloomfield, owner of Bloomfield Properties, which owns the building housing Maple Bloom Cafe. Also a major investor in the library project. He called to say the cafe can't have this kind of association, Mrs. June continues reluctantly. Says it looks like we're trying to gain unfair influence with the project lead. So I'm fired, Serena whispers, the familiar sensation of having the ground yanked from beneath her feet returning. Mrs. June's eyes flash with anger. It's temporary until this blows over, and I'll pay you regardless. This isn't right. But Serena is already untying her apron, her walls rebuilding around her heart. It's fine. I should have known better than to step outside my world even for one night. She packs her few belongings, including her sketchbook. Her fingers tremble as she leaves a small box on the counter, her last batch of heart cookies with a handwritten note. Even broken things can hold sweetness. Tears blur her vision as she walks out, not seeing Richard Cole himself approaching from the opposite direction, a folder of revised blueprints in his hand. By the time Richard enters the cafe, Serena is gone. All he finds is Mrs. June, her face tight with anger, and a box of cookies with a note. Where is she? He asks, his voice betraying emotion. Mrs. June studies him carefully. She left. Someone made sure she'd have to. She shows him the post, watching as understanding and fury dawn on his face. Veronica, he says flatly. This has her fingerprints all over it. Well, whoever it was cost Serena her job, Mrs. June replies. And probably more than that. What do you mean? The older woman sighs. That girl has been hurt before badly. She was left at the altar 2 years ago. Very publicly, very cruelly. She's been rebuilding herself piece by piece, working here, finding her strength again. Mrs. June's eyes bore into Richard's. Last night was the first time I've seen her truly connect with anyone in those 2 years. Richard stands silent. Finally, he asks, "Do you have her address?" Mrs. June shakes her head. "I can't give that out, but I can give her a message." Richard nods. "Tell her I understand foundations not just in buildings. I understand how they crack and how they can be repaired. And tell her the library opens next week. I hope she'll be there." As he turns to leave, Mrs. June calls after him. "You lost someone too, didn't you?" Richard stops. "My wife, 2 years ago." "And you've been living just for those girls since then?" He turns slightly. "They're all I have left of her." Mrs. June's voice softens. "No, dear. They're all you've allowed yourself to have. There's a difference." Richard leaves his usual measured stride, different, less certain, as if the ground beneath him has shifted. Back at Cole Designs, he confirms Veronica was behind the post and calls her into his office. "I've worked with you for 4 years," he says, his voice cold. "I trusted you with my company's reputation, but never again with my personal life or my daughter's." Veronica's composure cracks. "Richard, she's just a shy girl who bakes. She has no place in your world." "That's where you're wrong," he replies. "She has the one thing this company has been missing since Helen died. Heart." He hands Veronica a folder. "Your transfer to Seattle is effective immediately." After she leaves, Richard sits staring at the library blueprints with Serena's suggested changes incorporated. His late wife's words echo, "The foundation of love is trust. Don't ever stop building." He'd stopped building the moment Helen's car had been hit. He'd maintained what was already constructed, his work, his care for the twins, but he hadn't laid a single new brick in the foundation of his life. Until last night, when a shy baker with sad eyes and an instinctive understanding of structure had walked onto his construction site with dinner and unexpected hope. Picking up his phone, Richard calls the library board. "About the grand opening next week," he begins. "I'd like to make a small change to the program. Maybe healing isn't about forgetting who broke you. It's about building again with someone who holds the same cracks." For 5 days, Serena ignores the messages Mrs. June relays from Richard. For 5 days, she stays in her apartment, alternating between anger at herself and grief for what might have been, not just with Richard, but with his daughters, who had seen something in her she'd forgotten existed. On the 6th day, an official invitation arrives. Riverside Library Grand Opening Special Recognition of Community Contributors. Attached is a note in Mrs. June's handwriting. "He asked me to send this. Go, Serena. Some foundations deserve a second chance." Serena traces her fingers over the invitation. Part of her wants to throw it away. But another part, the part that has started sketching buildings again late at night, whispers that perhaps just this once she should see what happens if she doesn't run. The morning of the opening dawns clear and bright. Serena dresses in a simple blue dress that brings out her eyes. For the first time in years, she wears her hair down. The Riverside Library is magnificent. What had been a skeleton of steel and possibility a week ago now stands complete, a soaring testament to both function and beauty. Glass walls reflect the river, making the building seem to float. Serena slips into the back of the gathered crowd. She spots the twins immediately in matching yellow dresses, their auburn hair neatly braided. They stand with Richard, who looks both distinguished and slightly nervous in a tailored suit. The mayor speaks first, praising the vision behind the library. Then the library board head introduces Richard as the architect who built not just a library, but a heart for our community. Richard steps to the microphone, his eyes scanning the crowd. When they find Serena, relief washes over his face. Thank you all for being here, he begins. This building has been more than a project for me. It's been a journey. He pauses. 2 years ago, I lost my wife, Helen. She always said that libraries were special because they held stories of how people overcome the impossible. A hush falls over the crowd. No one has ever heard Richard Cole speak publicly about his loss. After she died, I focused on building things that couldn't feel pain, structures, walls, foundations. I thought that was strength. His gaze finds Serena again. I was wrong. We all build foundations in life, some of steel, some of concrete. But today I learned the strongest ones are built of courage and kindness. There's someone here today who taught me that, Richard continues. Someone who showed me that even when foundations crack, they can be repaired, sometimes made stronger than before. He takes a deep breath. Serena Brooks, would you come up here, please? A collective murmur goes through the crowd. Serena stands frozen, unable to move, until Mrs. June, somehow beside her, now gives her a gentle push. Go on, the older woman whispers. Some stories need to be finished. Serena makes her way to the front. Richard's smile as she approaches fills something in her she hadn't realized was empty. When she reaches him, Richard reaches into his pocket and pulls out half of a cookie, one of her heart cookies, broken cleanly down the middle. You baked this, he says. I broke it by mistake when I put it in my pocket that night. But I saved it because it reminded me of something important. He holds up the broken cookie, half its raspberry center visible. This library was designed with a cafe, a place where nourishment for the body meets nourishment for the mind. And I'm pleased to announce that Maple Bloom Cafe, under the direction of Mrs. June and Serena Brooks, will be operating that space. Applause breaks out, but Richard isn't finished. But more than that, this broken cookie reminded me that healing isn't about forgetting who broke you. It's about building again brick by brick with someone who understands your cracks. From the side of the stage, Veronica slips out her face, struggling between a strained smile and regret, as she realizes what she has lost in her pursuit of status. As the ceremony concludes, the twins bound up to Serena, their faces alight with triumph. Did our plan work? Lily asks eagerly. Are you going to be our new friend? Nora adds her small hand, slipping into Serena's. Richard laughs, the sound natural, yet clearly rusty from disuse. Girls, give Miss Serena some space. She hasn't even agreed to work at the cafe yet. Serena looks down at the twins, then up at Richard, seeing now what she'd missed before, how the three of them carry the same wound, the same emptiness seeking to be filled. Actually, she says softly, I think I might be interested in both jobs. Richard's eyebrows rise. Both cafe manager, she clarifies with a small smile, and friend, for now. The hope that blooms in his eyes matches the feeling unfurling in her chest, fragile, tentative, but real. For now sounds perfect, he agrees. We can build from there. Everyone ends up with cracks. But if we dare to trust one more time, love can fill even the deepest voids. 3 months later, Serena arrives at Richard's home, a basket of fresh pastries in hand. This has become their Saturday ritual breakfast together, before taking the twins to the park. The girls fling open the door before she can knock, already in their jackets. Daddy's making pancakes, Nora announces. But he burned one, Lily adds with a giggle. Richard appears in the doorway, flour dusting his shirt and a sheepish smile on his face. I think I'll need a baker's help for life, he admits. Serena steps inside the warmth of the house, embracing her. Only if you promise not to be late again, she teases. He meets her eyes, the sadness that had once clouded them, now replaced with something warmer. Not even a minute. Not this time. The kitchen is cheerful chaos, batter splattered on the counterberries in a bowl, the twins stealing chocolate chips. Richard's home has transformed from a perfectly maintained but emotionally empty space to one filled with laughter and new memories being built atop the honored ones of the past. The cafe and the library has become the heart of the community. Her architectural eye has proven invaluable, and Richard has encouraged her to complete the degree she'd abandoned. "You know," Richard says, flipping a misshapen pancake, "the girls and I were talking." "Oh." Serena raises an eyebrow, recognizing the conspiratorial glances the twins are exchanging. "We think maybe friend isn't enough anymore?" He continues, a nervous edge to his voice. Lily can't contain herself. "We want you here always," she bursts out. "Not just Saturdays," Nora adds earnestly. Richard sets down the spatula, turning to face Serena. "What they're trying to say is that we've fallen in love with you, Serena Brooks. All three of us." Serena feels her heart expand, the final cracks healing as love fills the spaces between. "That's convenient," she replies, "because I've fallen in love with all of you too." From across the street, Mrs. June watches through the window as she sips her morning tea. She smiles to herself as Richard pulls Serena close, as the twins dance around them in celebration, as the little family embraces in the kitchen, bathed in sunlight. "See," she whispers, "some foundations were meant to be rebuilt." This heartwarming journey reminds us that life gives us all cracks and broken pieces, but sometimes the light shines brightest through those very fractures.